You should
add that in there at the end.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the show where if you are crazy about movies, you belong here. We are your hosts, Colin Peters.
Genre Shatter.
And Jeff Manfred.
Still got the giggles.
Yeah. No, just the way you did that.
I'm pumped up on
I can
cupcakes
see
and
that.
caffeine right now.
You ate, what, 5 now?
Hey, dude, I worked the night shift. I needed to pick me up. My ass was dragging, so guess what? I'm ready to go.
You have all the fucking sugar
The only
right
thing
now.
I'm
Be bouncing.
The only thing I'm missing is green tea. Also, we have a very special guest, our Scream Queen, Jen Harding!
Woo!
Woohoo!
I did not have sugar, so it's woo.
We
Did
got
you have Xanax? Yeah.
Yeah.
We got you covered. Not with drugs. What's wrong, Jess?
I don't know, you're talking about drugs. No.
Why, you have some?
No.
Anyway, we're going to be talking about 2021's... Wait, 2000?
2021.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just sounds weird. I
Dude,
don't know why. We're always saying 20s. It's 2020. It is, but
2021.
2021. Yeah,
there you go.
2021's Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
This was a movie waiting in the wings from director Jason
Jason
Reitman, who is the original director, Ivan Reitman's son. And this was the follow-up to the 2016 reboot of Ghostbusters that didn't follow any continuity with the original sequels. And this one pretty much is basically Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah.
The cool story about Jason Reitman doing the film, he wrote it prior to even getting anything greenlit. So he went over and let his dad read it, and then let Harold Ramis's family read it before he went and took it to Sony.
No shit.
Because as soon as he wanted Harold Ramis's family to be okay with it, and he wanted his dad to be okay with it, because a lot of the story in the movie is his relationship with his dad. So Egon
That makes
and,
sense
Yeah.
that there was that much back work put into
yeah,
it.
Yes.
and the Callie and Phoebe's characters are based upon Harold Ramis's daughters. So that there's
Okay.
an autobiography called Ghostbusters' Daughter, and his daughter wrote it. So that's where he got that idea from.
Okay.
Gotcha.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, that was like two things I read that actually like really like impacted like a lot of this movie, and I'm like, that's really impressive that he even did all the legwork for.
Mhm.
Oh, totally. You can tell by watching this movie that there's tons of heart in it, you know,
Mhm.
and that's like the core value of pretty much really what the Ghostbusters movies are. you know?
Not just nostalgia, but also.
Exactly. There was like a lot of thought process that went into it, even though originally Dan Aykroyd wrote like a 900-page script that was just so off the wall
Yeah,
for the first one.
I still want to see that fucking outrageous one, okay?
You know, maybe it's like part of the real Ghostbusters and they just scattered it in like different episodes
Here's a 20 movie arc in a 900-page script.
with 4 main characters. It's incredible.
Something I also found out is that Ivan Reitman, the father of Jason Reitman, he was on set, I think, every day with his son just to make sure all the shots were lined up and everything looked good. So it kind of adds a lot of pressure to a filmmaker, especially like your dad over your shoulder. This is his brainchild that he brought to the forelight back in 1984, and your dad is watching you set up all the shots just to make sure that this film goes on without a hitch, because it had a difficult task to try and get the fan base back after 2016.
I'd argue with you that.
Okay.
I think the father would be supportive of him and help guide him more instead of feeling like it's a heavy burden. I think having just Ghostbusters directing and you being like passing the torch, like Jason, having the torch would be the heavier burden.
I'm not saying it was the entire mentality of Jason Reitman, because he's no slouch. He's made movies before. The guy has made mostly independent family dramas. Look at Up in the Air, Juno, even the dark comedy satire Thank You for Smoking. So this is the largest budget he's ever had to work with. So that's definitely, but still, it wasn't 150 million. It was made for. It was made for 75 million, which surprised me.
That's low for this kind of movie.
Yeah.
Especially now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about a quick synopsis of the movie. It strays away from the main characters of Ghostbusters. We actually don't. It's more of a treat when you get the original guys like Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson,
Bill Murray.
what's Janine's name? Annie Potts.
Annie Potts, yes.
You know, they're all kind of scattered as like little cameos and stuff in it, and you really don't see them until the very end, minus Annie Potts. And unfortunately, Harold Ramis had passed away, so it's pretty cool that they show Egon at the very beginning and he's killed off. So they kind of have this like realm of reality mixed in with the movie as well.
Mhm.
And it picks up with his family and his grandkids, played by McKenna Grace and Finn Wolfhard.
Wolfhard,
The
yep.
kid from Stranger Things.
Yep.
And they have no money, so they got to move to the farm that Harold Ramis's Egon Spangler had. And McKenna Grace is like Egon reincarnate, basically. You can tell it's his grandkid. She's got the glasses, the curly hair. She's all about science. She's like socially awkward and nerdy, but she's super smart.
Come on, you're introduced to her rewiring someone else's apartment through her apartment.
Yeah.
That's a Spangler right there.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that doesn't sound right.
What?
Spangler?
Yeah, it sounds like a bad dildo.
Oh my God.
Now that I say it out loud, but
This is a family film, Colin.
and this show is called Film Asylum. So.
So let them be crazy.
Yeah.
I was say those are the original glasses that Harold Ramis wore too.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I love details like that.
Me too. I love all that little like tidbit stuff that you find out later on.
And it
Like
makes you appreciate it so much more.
Well, even like the nostalgia in the movie when you see things like Revelation 7:12 is on the signs as you enter into the Spangler Dirt Farm. Stop it.
The dirt farm.
Well, yeah, I was talking more about Dirt Farm, not Spangler,
Oh.
the dildo company.
Oh my God.
Spangler dildos.
Anyway, I'll let you wallow into the Spangler dildos. So they end up moving to Oklahoma,
Yes.
Yes.
and his family has to take over the farm and kind of close it down, and they come to discover that he was doing more than just living out there being a dirt farmer.
They were also evicted too. Like, the guy did not give him a chance, saying, "Once you leave this house, I'm changing the locks." He puts the eviction sticker right there on the door, so they have no choice but to get out.
And basically, it's up to what's McKenna Grace's
Phoebe.
Phoebe, that's
Phoebe.
it. Yeah. It's up to her to like kind of roam around the farm, and here she discovers all the Ghostbusters props that Egon had, and it leads her into the adventure of seeing what he was working on.
Yeah.
And I believe it's actually his ghost guiding her.
Yep.
Like,
It is.
drawers are opening. Doesn't he put on the Ghostbusters commercial for her?
No, she's watching on YouTube, and
Okay.
the PKE meter actually starts turning on.
She's playing chess with a ghost.
Yeah.
There's a couple chess sequence, but also like the very beginning of the movie, I couldn't help but laugh a little bit because there's a beam in the sky to start out the movie. And you just gotta love a good beam in the sky. There's so many movies that involve a beam in the sky. You got like the Avengers films, you got the Transformers movies. All these movies have a beam in the sky. But I also noticed Shandor Village, and right when I saw that, I'm thinking, wow, I think I know where this is going. I know where this is going, but keep going, film.
So that's basically the gist of the movie, and through the rest of it, we get introduced to new characters, mainly kids. It's kind of like a version of Goonies or Monster Squad as Ghostbusters.
Stranger Things.
Exactly. So it's not a stretch for was it Finn?
Finn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just call him the kid from Stranger
Yeah.
Jason was trying to tie other movies to the Ghostbusters series.
Do you know which ones?
Goonies.
Oh, okay. Well,
There's a lot of them, like a lot of 80s movies they were saying that could have happened at the exact same time Ghostbusters was happening. So he was going to try to tie it in, but it would have taken away from the story that was already happening.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, I understand why you wanted to do it, but it's like, I'm glad you didn't. So it's like kind of cool. Like, all right, you're trying to think you can do more with the universe than just go, all right, this is just Ghostbusters. But like you said, it's going to take away from the thing you're already building.
Yeah, it definitely feels very Spielbergian, this entire film. Like anything out of the 80s he ever made. It felt like it was like a combination of like Goonies and Stranger Things even meets Star Wars The Force Awakens, because you've got that idea of introducing new characters while still bringing back the legacy characters and respectfully.
Holding on to the same formula.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I understand, like, I know this movie got a lot of hate for that because of just like they felt like they used nostalgia to, I guess, move it along. When truthfully, if you boil it down, it really didn't. It more or less like it gave it a push.
That's how I viewed it.
And then like it gave you a whole new character set, and it literally was like building them up. And then they're like, all right, so we're going to throw a little bit in here and here just to be like, all right, so this is still tying it in, but we're moving it from New York City.
The
So
nostalgia part is what made me love it so much, though, because I like the story in general, but I think it's not unanimous, but I love all of the Ghostbusters movies to date. I even love the all-female one. I think it's funny and hilarious. Yeah, whatever. That wasn't me. You were so angry. It's funny. Just deal with it. You can watch a movie and not compare it to the original. As it by itself, it's funny. But anyway, the nostalgia is the part that made me like love this movie so much. Like going into it, I didn't have expectations because like when you have a remake, I personally don't compare it to the other ones. I go in looking at a movie like it's just a new movie, and like, oh, it'll be funny because Paul Rudd's in it, which is awesome. But the nostalgia, like I was bawling this whole movie. Like I loved it. The nostalgia made me like happy. But then it also made me cry. I'm like, I love this movie.
I think that was the point that Jason Reitman was trying to do as well.
Yeah, this movie has like a roller coaster of emotions. Like you
Yeah.
feel for the family, you feel for the kids, you go on like a mini action adventure. It's not really like action heavy, but you get enough to go like, wow, this is exciting, and some suspense is in here. And then, the nostalgia is like what you said, Jeff. It pushes it along. It makes you feel like if you're a fan from the old ones that you can appreciate it. And it adds closure to certain characters that we'll get to that were important, that never really were explained. And it's really not that long of a movie. Like,
No, it's about like an hour 45. It's an appropriate runtime. It doesn't overblow its runtime of 2.5 hours. It didn't need to.
And to be honest, too, like I know some people... I hear a lot of complaints where people say there's never enough, like, them with a proton pack in the movies. But really, you know what it consists of? Them trying to, like, zap a ghost and then trap it. So how many of those scenes can you have in a movie before it gets...
She has the proton. She has it a lot in
I
the
know.
movie
Yeah.
from the beginning.
But, like, even in all of them, there's only, like, a couple scenes, like,
Yeah.
there's, like in the first one, they get Slimer, and then it's the very end.
that's actually what I was going to bring up. Like even
Right.
the first and second movie, they don't use the proton packs a lot.
No. It's dangerous technology. If you have it in the wrong hands, it could seriously hurt and kill people. So-
I think the problem with that is so many people are used to the cartoon, or they play the video game where you're just zapping shit. And
Mhm.
I mean,
repercussions. And not to mention, in this movie, they're kids. I know Phoebe is a genius. She's a young Egon the Making. She's only 12 years old, and she has this scientific background. She doesn't understand how she got it until she does more digging and discovery. But they're kids. So imagine these proton packs in the hands of 12, 13-year-old, 15-year-old kids. So it's going to be a little more risky, and they're going to be a little sloppy and messy with this stuff because
They
they're
didn't
brand
know
new
not
to it.
cross the stream.
Yeah.
Nobody told them.
And we found out that the crossing the streams at one point in the movie actually wasn't as potent as it used to be.
Glad it didn't work.
but if you actually look at the contraption, that's what it was doing the whole time. Like, so all of them, I'm getting way ahead of myself, everybody, but they were crossing the streams, and that's what was holding that, I guess, the sacrifice pit at bay.
Yeah, I don't know what you call that. But that was really wild, where they discovered that where this little city in Oklahoma was pretty much owned by Evo.
He built it, Ivo
Evo
Shandor.
Shandor, who was the main guy who was like in the cult and tried to worship Gozer and resurrect Gozer. And in the first movie, they built the high rise in New York.
And that's actually the mine where they mined all the ceruleum for that.
Yeah, so that's a really good throwback to it.
And Egon was the one who discovered all of that, and that's why he moved the farm out.
Right.
Moved to the farm
Mhm.
out there, and he was like basically setting up the world's biggest trap in case it goes
Keep
or
the
whatever be
spirits at
free.
bay in that pit and everything, with all the proton packs aiming at the pit.
Yeah, but the kids are really holding their own. I thought the characters were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There was like a love interest between Finn and the one girl that he meets in town.
What's her name? Lucky?
Yeah, I think so. Really
I would have
common.
liked to have seen like more development with that relationship. I could have maybe used like another scene with those two, because
I felt like they really weren't that central.
they
I
were
think
pushed to
that's
the
why.
foreground. Her name is Lucky.
Okay.
Name is
And then
Lucky.
what the other kid's name's Podcast. That...
I love him. I love Logan Kim as Podcast.
He reminded me of the brother in 13 Ghosts.
Yeah, but McKenna Grace definitely stole the show on a number of scenes. I mean, it almost feels like a showcase for her at times.
I thought Paul Rudd even stole some scenes because
Yeah.
he's actually one of those characters that really helps move the story
Yeah.
along. Like, people see Paul Rudd and just go, yo, Paul Rudd's in this movie.
He's so likable.
He is. He makes. That's why I wanted to watch it to begin with. You're like, oh, Paul Rudd's in it. It must be awesome.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I was mad about, I thought Paul Rudd was going to play a character we knew. I thought he was going to play Oscar.
I think we got that, like, maybe from the trailers. Like,
Yeah.
he's got to be somebody connected to the first two movies in some capacity. But I was kind of relieved, like, oh, he's a new character. He's just a brand new
Yeah.
person.
I like though that he was a fan who was knowledgeable of the
Mhm.
Ghostbusters, and he's what pushed
Yeah.
Phoebe to learn more into this.
He's a seismologist at heart, or I think he's trying to learn more about it, but he's just
She's
some-
schooling him.
Right.
Honestly, I don't think I would have liked if he were Oscar. I liked that he was just like a
Me
science
too.
I
teacher
did
that-
too.
that
I
helped.
did too.
I see what you're saying
Yeah.
though, Jeff, because
It's like we don't know what happened to Oscar, and that's why I thought it'd be a cool way to like kind of do full circle. We get to find out what happened to Oscar, besides getting almost possessed by Vigo.
Yeah.
But it,
That's why I liked it, because it seemed not, realistic. But like, I love the nostalgia part, like I just said, but it also can ruin it if they try to fit too much in.
Exactly,
Because I think
yeah.
that would be too much.
yeah,
Okay.
but
they really
Yeah.
did have just enough. I thought.
Yeah.
I do agree with everybody, but I am glad that he wasn't. Like, I
Mhm.
felt Paul Rudd did help a lot. Like, him explaining, like, how did you guys not know about the Ghostbusters? They're like, that was 20 years before we were born. I'm like,
Yeah.
I would never even thought about that. I'm like,
That's
dude,
true.
just one simple line like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just his delivery on, like, just playing with the trap, trying to get it to open, even, like, getting all excited for a proton pack.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a good arc too. I mean, just a simple summer school teacher who's like, I don't want to be here, you don't want to be here. Let's just watch movies and let's just kill time. But then he learns, he's like relearning and reteaching about the Ghostbusters to Phoebe and all the other kids, and he's like, I feel like a kid again.
and he's getting a relationship with the mom, Egon's daughter,
Yeah.
who's like so like got no relationship with her dad, just because she said he just up and left. So
Yeah.
I understand why she's disdained like that. And then later on, you find out that she goes into the lab and sees that he was always thinking about her.
Mm-hmm.
But-
that actually sets up the timeline, too, on why we don't know who Callie is.
Mm-hmm.
Because Egon was hiding that since the early 80s. And it made sense. Like, he hid it from everybody. His wife, his daughter, everything. And, like, what we saw in 84 was just a scientist. So it was cool seeing, like, yeah, he had a life outside of it,
Mm-hmm.
where we followed Peter Venkman's life a little more and Ray's life a little more. Egon, we knew nothing about.
Yeah.
See, that was one of my problems with the original Ghostbusters. Like, I love the original movies, like, for how they are. Despite 2 with its flaws and issues, I still love that a lot, too. But I always felt like it was beyond Venkman. Like, I understand Bill
Mhm.
Murray was a star, but as they said, Ray was the heart, Egon was the brains. Winston was, as he said, the sex appeal, but I looked at him as the muscle. And Venkman was the voice. And really, what's the voice? It's just, here's words in the air. Like, if you don't have heart and the brains behind it, nothing really rolls. So
What'd she call him? A game show host?
yeah,
Original?
yeah, Sigourney Weaver. But I mean, Bill Murray was a star, so it's natural that you're going to focus on him a lot more. But I mean, I just feel like the core of Ghostbusters was Egon and Ray. And like, if you want to know more of the cool stuff in Ghostbusters, you would follow those guys. Here, when you follow Venkman, like as we did, we got a funny story and a love interest, you know.
He wasn't a Ghostbuster.
He wasn't.
He
cared
Ray and
about-
Egon were.
He cared about money, he cared about fame, cared about getting pussy.
But he was funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was funny.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not saying he was a bad character, but I'm just saying, like,
But you need that character to help with
Exactly.
the stories.
Because
Yes.
I don't think I would have liked the movie as much if it were like more serious, like
and it's like super
ghost.
nerdy.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I mean, and like I said, I understand why. He was the star. He really carried that film a lot. But they had an all-star ensemble.
Mhm.
I mean, even
Oh,
Ernie
yeah.
Hudson just fit in like that, and he wasn't even an SNL guy.
No.
I mean, those 4 originals were just, that was magic right there.
Yeah.
It really was. You know, the story that they created with the Gozer and the Shandor and finding out this mine and then going back to it. I felt like in Afterlife, it really completed that Shandor and Gozer story
Mhm.
because Gozer does come back and we actually do see Shandor in it.
Which I was not expecting to be J.K. Simmons.
I didn't even know Shandor was going to be in it, so that
I
was just a surprise. in
I was
general.
excited to see his body encased in glass. I'm like, oh shit, we're gonna get something cool with this character. We'll get to that later.
No, I mean, we can
So I
get
looked
to
up.
it.
I'm like, that's J.K. Simmons. Like, holy shit, he's Evo Shandor.
Yeah, but here's one thing that did kind of bother me, is that they said that Ghostbusters 3 was going to be like the video game for PlayStation,
Mm-hmm.
and I always felt like that was still good canon, and that could have been like they could have easily tied that in. Like, didn't they say everything from like the original Ghostbusters was going to be brought up in Afterlife? And I thought
So-
the game was in the mix, but then
I think
Clearly
they
it
took
wasn't.
storyline from the game because in the
They did,
in the
okay.
game, if anybody hasn't played the game, well, you should because it's amazing and I've played it. I
I've
want to
never
say
played the
like
game.
double digits
it
now.
is awesome.
It's a great game.
Like if you just watch that game on YouTube, it's a fun, like you could see how it would be a fun movie. Like they
Yes.
upgrade the proton pack, they give you new ghosts, new villains, they explore more of New York, and the main ghost at the end of the game movie was Shandor. He actually turns into a ghost that can possess people,
Mhm.
and he was trying to get the power of Gozer, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
And
makes
then-
sense.
everything that Shandor had for Gozer was actually in a museum exhibit, and that's what brought everything together. So it was kind of a nice, like, all right, so they kind of reused it to do the Temple of the Gozer and Underground, which I thought was a nice touch. So they did essentially reuse some of the storyline, but they took it out of New York, and which was kind of a nice thing too, because like, how many times are we going to use New York as a focal point?
See, that's what
You
I
don't
was
need to
like.
do it in New
It's
York.
like it's one of the things why I like The Punisher 2004. It takes place in Florida,
Yeah,
which could be a cesspool too, you know, in certain sections.
of course.
Wasn't it Tampa? I don't
It was
know.
Tampa Bay, Florida, and the reason why they kind of did is because they didn't have the money to film in New York.
Also,
But still,
Travolta lived in Florida too. No, I'm serious. That's why.
we have to work around Travolta's schedule.
Yeah, Thomas Jane said that.
How about that?
Yeah.
But they also
Well, Church
didn't.
of Scientology.
They also
down
did
there
not-
Too, so it makes
They didn't
sense.
have the money to film in New York too. So I mean, because the Punisher takes place in New York.
Well, he takes place anywhere, but back to Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, I was like excited to see that Shandor was in it, but like I said, I was a little disappointed because I thought that canon of the game would have been a nice touch to it, and go, oh shit, we got 1 and 2, now maybe we get the game, but I can see why they took it out
Mhm.
and just said, here it is for movie's sake.
Yeah.
Because J.K. Simmons was in like every Jason Reitman movie.
He's in a lot of his movies.
think.
Yeah,
if not
Maybe
every
all
one
of
of them, maybe a majority of them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
definitely
But
up in the.
but
in
the
genre.
character looked good too. Like he had that, like I don't know, it was kind of distinguished looking, very, I don't know.
Looked like somebody who didn't belong in that period.
Yeah,
The way he dressed and the way his facial hair looked.
I'm trying to think of the century that you could compare it to, but I'm drawing a
I'd
blank
say the
on it.
late 1800s.
Yeah, that sounds about
Mhm.
right.
Because they were talking about the time frame each event happened, and it was actually dates on the wall.
Yes.
So,
That part was cool, where they said like something will happen this year, that year,
Mhm.
and then it came to the current year where it was going to take place.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, nice.
It was
touch.
either like 39 years or 36 years. It's not consistent, so it's somewhere in the 30-year range ballpark that all these terrible events have happened.
It also makes you wonder why that odd number.
Because if it was an even number, you'd expect it, and you'd know.
Is it like something out
Or
of
like-
Pennywise?
or like,
Yeah.
or like, was it,
You know when he's coming back.
or like, was it like symbolic to an occult number or a ritual? You know what I mean?
Something worth digging into. I don't know.
Exactly.
But-
Like, why pick 36 or whatever,
I don't know.
37, whatever it was.
There was one thing about this movie is that they definitely acknowledge constantly the first movie, Ghostbusters, but I felt like in this movie, even though Ghostbusters 2, it may not be loved by everybody, but it's still part of the same canon. I feel like they never acknowledged Ghostbusters 2 at all in this movie.
Actually, they did quite a bit.
They did?
I
It
think
was a lot more subtle.
the one thing they did
It
was
was very
raise-
subtle because
was-
I missed a lot
was
of
Ray's
it.
bookstore.
Yep.
That was
Okay.
for sure.
They did
Okay.
Ray's bookstore. The toaster that actually they were testing on is in Egon's kitchen.
Okay.
And then the shot that they used for the earthquake was the exact one they used for the courtroom. So they were still trying to tie it in because Gozer's the
Okay.
main thing. Vigo's not.
It's Vigo!
But they did say that they are going to try to incorporate 2 a little bit more down the line. So
Okay.
that it is still relevant, but
Right.
they don't know if, like you said, it's not as popular. It might not be a good character to bring back. Because, A, what the fuck happened to Oscar?
Don't
the
bring
heck-
Vigo back. I'm
What happened to the weird dude that was obsessed with Vigo?
the
Like,
curator?
Yeah. I want to see him at least one more time so they can make fun of him. No.
the child. The child.
He's Vigo.
It's
He
Vigo.
probably has Oscar.
Yeah.
You'll get them both at the same time.
Probably.
Oh my
Like,
God.
they come back to New York City, you see both
Yeah.
of them, like, not like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the curator. What's his name? Janos.
Yeah.
Janos.
Janos.
Yeah.
He's the janitor, and Oscar's the curator at
Oh
the
my God.
museum now.
I think she likes me.
Yeah.
I have a good feeling about it.
Or it's going to be like, you're doing an amazing job. You're doing bad.
I just want you to know everything you're doing is very bad.
But I am excited. I know the new movie's coming out in a couple months. It feels like they are doing like a
Months.
Oh,
Dude,
months.
weeks.
Yeah.
This is
March-
the 20
March 31st.
No,
That's
22nd.
That's soon.
Okay, I know it's soon. Okay,
What?
okay, not
Not
months.
months.
Okay, a month and a week. How about that?
22nd, all right? Get your fucking dates right.
Anyway, as I was trying to say, Jeff, it feels like they are doing like a different villain for that movie. So I'm like, okay, good.
Yes.
Do something different.
So everything that they're doing in the new movie is actually tied to this movie because they were pulling from real Ghostbusters. So a lot of the stuff we got to see in this movie was already here, but they're actually bringing it canon. So the sidecar on the car, a lot of the ghosts that we get to see were part of real Ghostbusters.
Real Ghostbusters,
The cartoon.
The cartoon. There you go.
And honestly, the only reason I started catching this is because my daughter got obsessed with the cartoon. And I started picking up on it, and then I later read about it because it's like, the show's really good. It's just, 10 seasons of the same thing over time. It's just like, all right, I get it.
It's like I said earlier. How many times can you zap somebody with a proton pack? That's why you have these side characters and these other little adventures that they go on. And I thought Afterlife filled that void in pretty good. And then you got the big. It's almost like the big lightsaber fight in Star Wars. But it is like the big proton, battle of the big baddie. Is saved at the very end. And,
But I love the miniature adventure that they're having in this self-contained story, especially when they're just learning about the proton packs and setting up target practice. The podcast is like, did I hit it? You obliterated it. You destroyed it. Like, you just set up a couple cans, take some distance. And I love the sound design. It just harkens back to all that great sound design from the first movie.
They even had the
light
old music.
switches. Yeah, the music. It felt like Ghostbusters.
They had to actually ask permission for that. The guy who originally did all that.
Didn't he die?
Yeah, they had to go
Elmer?
to I
Something?
think his son or the estate, and the guy who did the music for the movie had to ask if he'd use parts of it.
Yeah.
So that's why we got that nice touch of like different things from the original. But you also got a whole lot of new music.
Those subtle piano riffs. I'm like,
Yeah.
that reminds me of the good old days. But you don't get Slimer, you get the Muncher.
Well, if you think about it, Slimer's contained in New York, and they didn't want that like puppy dog thing they had from real Ghostbusters and kind
Yeah.
of part of 2. So like, all right, so we got a whole new ghost that we can kind of fall in love with, but kind of
Yeah,
can't.
the Muncher's equally as adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool what it could do. Like, it actually
wonder-
just chews metal and spits it right back at you like
yeah, that
bullets.
part's not adorable,
Yeah.
but looking at it was adorable.
I wonder if that was influenced by somebody. You know, like how Slimer was influenced to be the ghost of John Belushi.
Oh, it was just
I never
Slimer.
knew that.
Oh, you really? You never knew that?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We've already established that I love movies, but not to your nerd standards.
Slimer got his own Animal House moment. It's awesome.
Yeah, essentially they took the original mock-up for Slimer and actually part of the mold and made Muncher out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we got two ghosts from the same thing.
Yeah.
Which is like I was saying, like
But you get nuts and bolts instead of hot dogs.
yeah, and it was pretty much like they said, one's in New York and now one's in Oklahoma.
It's pretty terrifying too, like a ghost that can actually chew metal and spit it right back at you and actually physically hurt you. It's
Well,
pretty
I
cool.
would hate that. I would
Yeah,
give the ghost the
hell
finger
with
every
that,
time.
man. Yo, I want to go to a buffet though with Slimer.
Right, so he just chews it up, it just falls on the floor. I could see just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get the scraps.
Hey, I'll take the scraps, man.
Actually,
I go to Anthony's to get pizza.
I'd say the funny thing is Josh Gad actually did the noises for Muncher.
I love Josh Gad.
I can see that.
But it was funny because like he wasn't even going to be part of the movie. They were just happened to be on the same set or same lot and walking past, and Jason Reitman's like, "Hey, you want to be in Ghostbusters?"
I'm sure he jumped on the opportunity. Yes, I want to be in Ghostbusters.
Just like how Dan Robick was saying that Rob Zombie was like, "Hey, you want to be in the movie again in the Munsters tonight?" And he was like, "Sure." Just put like different makeup on him and play a different
Seriously.
character.
Is Dan Roebuck in the new Ghostbusters?
John.
He is not. I didn't.
Oh, okay, because
No,
like
he's
there's
not.
one person that's frozen that looks like Dan Roebuck.
Person that's frozen looks like Dan Roebuck.
It's actually in the trailer when the fireman goes to touch it and it breaks apart.
Call him now.
Yeah.
Call him
Call
now.
him I mean, I got his number. I can call him.
Exactly. Fucking call him.
Let's have an interview part 2. Are you the frozen gentleman in the trailer for Ghostbusters?
I
Frozen?
cannot watch. They'll say like I can't tell you, but well, how do they say that? I
Cannot
cannot confirm or deny.
I cannot confirm or deny.
Dan, if you're listening.
But the whole setup is with them going after Muncher, and then you've got Finn Wolfhard's character. I feel like I was waiting for him to do something because it seems like Phoebe is doing all the scientific work and doing all the proton pack work, and I was like, oh, he's fixing the Ecto-1. And he actually gets a little help from Egon too, especially when it comes to the spark plug or the cables just igniting, the car starting, and then they just go on their little mini adventure through the town. That chase sequence is awesome.
Yeah.
Especially with the gunner seat coming out, and you got Phoebe in the gunner seat
And
trying to take down
And it
the
gave
ghost.
it gave you kind of like a Batmobile scene that you never really got in
Mhm.
Ghostbusters. You know, Ecto-1's just kind of like cruising around New York like an
Yeah.
asshole, but you never got the gunner seat or it just in action. And we all loved Ecto-1 as part of like Ghostbusters lore. Like it's its own character.
Yeah.
And it always had that equipment on top, but it never did anything in the movie.
You got the trap door down below that they could release the
like the
RC.
RC car with
yeah,
the trap on it. That's so cool. Like everything about that. I would have loved to have heard the sirens though. I would have loved to
You
have
should
heard
have
the
been there at
sirens in
Mahoning with us.
Ecto-1. Yeah. Because I would have been like, oh, this is perfect.
Funny thing is, that's actually not the Cadillac engine in it. It's a Corvette engine. That's why you're able to get the donuts.
Okay.
Because they put a bigger engine in it, faster engine. That's why it moved like it did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they used
Now you're just
two.
spitting boy nerd facts.
I thought that was actually really cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that
Yeah.
either.
Because like
I'm surprised the Corvette engine fit in that.
I mean, it's got enough
Yeah,
area.
what you said.
It's probably like a newer engine, so. But I was thinking, like, I know one was just for driving, and one was for stunts. So that jump he did.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, seeing that car moving in the movie was actually kind of nice. Like, it was a lot faster. It was really aggressive if you think about it. Like,
It gave it more character.
Yeah,
Like
and
the car had a character. Like I said, it like the Batmobile or the Black Beauty and Green Hornet.
I also love like the dirt that was over the Ghostbuster signal, and then they go over like a puddle of water. It washes all the dirt away, and you get a good reveal, a clean reveal that the ghost is back.
I love that stuff too. When
Yeah.
It just says like, "Yep."
It's well filmed. It's well shot. Everything just very sleek. You can see everything in camera.
And the kids are really good in it.
They
like
are.
I mean, like to begin with, kid stuff, especially now, is really most of the time it's missed. I was gonna say hit or miss, but I think they did pretty good with kid movies and that sort of like genre in the 80s, you know, obviously. But nowadays, like it's such a Nickelodeon and Disney field of like kids where like most kid stuff is like it's trash. You know, everybody seems like a spoiled brat and like in real life too, not just in the show. And it's stupid. Like what's that show, like Zoe 101 and Victoria
My son
Justice.
used to watch those.
Yeah, see,
Which means I used to watch them.
and you know what I'm talking about.
do
Like
know what
it's
you're
it's
talking
crap. Like the Miley Cyrus Hannah Montana show.
See, I watched
Oh
them
my
though.
God.
Well, I didn't watch Hannah Montana. That was still, I think, before.
Different decade, different mentality.
But like
yeah,
you know
I've
what I mean?
watched
Like,
all of the Victoria Justice and the Zoe 101. So I know.
iCarly.
iCarly, yep.
Was
watched-
Ariana Grande in Justice?
Yes, and she was also in Sam and Cat, which is a spin-off of the Victoria Justice.
Oh yeah, because
show.
she played Cat.
Yeah.
Why do I know that?
I don't know.
I know
how
that,
you
and
know
I have a
that.
Watch
boy.
that show.
Your nieces?
Maybe.
Or maybe he watches it himself.
I think you
I
do.
don't
watch it
think. Why are you
yourself.
looking at me?
Because you know you brought it up.
Yeah.
I did. I know. That's why.
You did.
Yeah.
Sick bastard.
I just remember Victoria Justice from that crappy Rocky Horror 2016 TV movie.
Maybe that's where it came from.
Yeah, and I was like, "Where's she from?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember this." Oh, my dad watched Victoria Justice.
What?
Yeah.
Huh?
Listen, I'm not ready to unpack this.
Okay, we
Let's just
can.
say
No,
this
I'm
we
just
can
gonna leave
move
it at
aside
that.
with that.
Were
Yeah,
we
we
just
can- we
talking
can-
about therapy?
Yeah.
Right.
But honestly, if you look at the two main actresses,
Actors, yes.
At
McKenna
the
Grace and Finn Wolfhard, they're really good.
Very
actors.
good.
And if like she's played pretty much every little girl version of anybody in horror. So like Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, was it Theo in House on Haunted Hill or whatever the hell that one's called or whatever.
Haunted Hill
Yeah.
House.
Yeah.
Haunting of Hill House.
Haunting of Hill
Yeah.
House, yes.
She was really good in this movie with Chris Evans called Gifted. She
Yeah.
was like-
Oh yeah, that was.
She
was
was
that
in a
what he directed?
Lifetime movie also. I don't remember what it was called. She was like a sinister adopted girl.
Oh,
She
really?
was really good. In that.
Oh okay.
I believe it.
I'm 99% sure that was her.
But if you think about it, like, okay, so those two were in a lot of things, and they really were good at their jobs. So it's like, yeah, this probably helped that out Afterlife. The kid who played Podcast did a really great job, but he's a quirky, like, he is Ray.
He could have easily been very annoying in this
Yeah.
movie, but he wasn't. He was the perfect dose of comic relief between the kids, and I love Phoebe's deadpan humor. I love that she tells dad jokes.
Yeah.
I love her terrible dad jokes because I love terrible dad jokes.
Of course you
I do. And there was even a joke going around saying that, you know, I heard a rumor going around that McKenna Grace wanted to just step away from acting for a bit after this movie because her back hurt so much from carrying this movie.
But if you look at it, after saying that, I actually want to say this because, like, she is the focal point of this movie because it's her journey of self-discovery. So, like, you were saying that it focused on her. She carried it. Actually, she did. So,
It made her personality make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also makes you appreciate Egon too. Like,
Yeah.
if you didn't before,
Yes.
like this was his family. This was basically him.
So, like, even at the beginning of the movie, like, I didn't want to hate Egon. I'm like, dude, there's no way he's a piece of shit. But, like, as the movie was playing out, it was like, all right, here's a tidbit here, here's a tidbit here, until you got to see that thing with Callie in the basement, then you understood. And then you got to see what he was actually doing in Oklahoma. You understood. He was sacrificing his personal life to save the world.
It's as they
Yep.
say, like what a man would do. You know, he would protect his family, and he was not just protecting his family; he was protecting everybody.
Yeah.
Because, like, who would believe him? Like, even the town of Oklahoma was like, yo, he bought some weird shit at the tool shop.
Nobody
you know?
knew him. Nobody like wanted
Dirt
to
farmer.
acknowledge
Called
him.
him the dirt
yeah.
farmer.
Or exactly.
Somerville. We keep calling it just Oklahoma.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's the
yeah.
town of Somerville, built by Ivo Shandor.
I think all of Oklahoma is Somerville, though. Except for where college football is. They make it look more elaborate to get recruits.
So I think that's why, like, she did carry it because she was the focal point. She was let's say the tip of the pyramid, and they kind of like filled in behind her. So you're getting the mom discovering her dad. You're getting Finn discovering himself. You're getting everyone discovering being Ghostbusters, and then you're finally like, all right, now let's put the Ghostbuster stuff here.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're looking at it as a pyramid, that stuff's at the bottom, and her stuff's at the top. So it's more or less like, I think that's why it made the movie flow better, because they're like, all right, it's a Ghostbusters movie, but it's also a family movie. So,
Oh, absolutely. a
Oh,
family
yeah.
movie.
They're, like, yeah, you don't feel scared throughout this. You feel good Like
Have
Jen
you
said,
felt scared in any of the Ghostbusters movies?
I could see kids doing it.
2016.
See, I wasn't.
I
I was naturally messed
Oh
up
my
as a
God.
kid.
The first movie, there was moments that scared the shit out of me, especially with Sigourney Weaver sitting in the chair and the hands coming out and grabbing her. That was horrifying. Especially
See,
even the
maybe that is why I am in therapy. I'm so desensitized.
And then-
I'm just, no,
and the second
that's
one,
a normal part of
the
life.
second one, for all its flaws, the subway sequence.
Oh, dude, that was
Hello,
great.
Winston. All the heads are surrounding them, and then the ghost subway car coming through.
I've
You're making me
always
just want to
found
watch it more right now.
I know,
it.
right?
I've always just found it funny.
There are moments of horror, and there are actually little tidbits in this film, especially the beginning when you don't know it's Egon, but you understand that it is Egon, and then bringing back the hands coming out of the chair and the ghostly apparitions. So yeah, there's nuggets, but it's not as strong as it was in the 80s.
Another thing that I liked about this movie is, like I always bitch about how I say practical effects are king in movie, and that is like what brings movie magic. But this movie did it right with CGI. It didn't overdo it, and it was exactly what it was used for.
Yep.
It was used for the stuff that it should be, like the proton streams, and they looked better.
They looked awesome.
The terror
ghosts.
dogs and the ghosts. They looked really good. I thought.
I would say actually the terror dogs are a mixture.
Mm-hmm.
So like obviously you can't run in a suit, but
Yeah.
like when you got to physically see one in Walmart,
Walmart.
that one I thought was actually pretty nice.
Yeah, it was good. Like I said, they did it right where they had the right mix and the CGI looked like it was well taken care of. It wasn't rushed. It didn't look choppy like in The Flash or something.
The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man
The
orgasm
little
scene.
mini marshmallows. Yeah,
They're like melting each other. They're killing each other.
and they're laughing at it.
I know that I'm so glad you brought that up because my brain can't focus on one thing at one time. So while we're talking about the movie I wanted to talk about, I also wanted to remind you when we got to this part with the mini marshmallows, I have an art project that I think we can collaborate on just to remind
Okay.
me.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it revolves around the little mini marshmallows.
Okay.
I'm not
And
gonna.
I'm very excited about it.
We were
I'm
talking
excited
about one
too.
Yeah, we are.
So now it's your job to make sure that I remember that.
Okay.
because
I
I thought of it. I've been thinking about it since we started, and I was waiting. I'm like, I can't talk about it yet.
I got a
And they're
decent
gonna be
memory,
like,
so.
where the hell is this conversation going?
I'm not gonna lie. Ever since that scene though, I've eaten so many s'mores.
Been a lot.
There's a s'more right behind
Exactly.
your head, Colin.
There you go.
Literally.
So many s'mores.
I mean, that's the
And
first
he's
thing
smiling.
that's the first thing you want to do when you go to Walmart after you've just eaten Kung Pao chicken and gone to jail. I mean, that's like the perfect date night.
Dude, the walk that Paul Rudd has too. He's just like do 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 do. Also, just like grabbing ice cream, doing all this, and I'm like, now you're gonna deal with the Stay Puffs, like mini
Yeah.
Stay that are literally killing themselves.
It's a mass suicide that they're doing.
Hey, we talked about Heathers. There's the correlation.
Here, so look, now you got me started again.
Yeah. Christian Slater's not in this, John. So.
We will talk about it.
Yeah.
But okay, so Paul Rudd, he's a dog. He's a dog.
Yeah, the original terror dogs from the first movie are actually the ones that possess Paul Rudd, and another one gets released that Egon had trapped, and it goes after Phoebe's mom.
And it was kind of cool. Like they did mirror some of the stuff from the original. Obviously, the chair scene with the mom, and then Paul Rudd actually was in the car. It was kind of funny because like Paul Rudd's character obviously was the main like comic relief. So, but he was also the most informational. Anyway, so like they hook up, they find the trap, and they show him, and he gets all excited. He starts explaining it. That's where the comment came earlier that they didn't know about the Ghostbusters because obviously it happened 20 years before they were born.
Mm-hmm.
So then he's like, well, let's power this thing up. Was it a
Whoops.
bus battery, a car battery, and something else? And they finally get it to go, and it blows out all the windows. It's like, we gotta go. But one of my favorite lines is like that he uses. It doesn't even involve Ghostbusters. I even said it yesterday. It's like he wheels in an old like VHS TV. He goes, "Wow, apparently this school still runs on VHS."
Yeah.
He pulls out a copy of Cujo. I'm like, "Wait, you're gonna show these fucking kids?"
And then Child's Play.
It's a real entertaining movie about a killer dog in the other room.
You're missing out on it.
It was cool, like her interacting with him over that, like the seismology, and her asking about the map that he was figuring out and what he was talking about. And I'm like, That was actually a really cool scene with those two.
Yeah, they're not near any kind of tectonic plate, so there's no reason for earthquakes to be happening in this area, but they are.
It was clever how they combined all that together, and they used literal science, like to a degree,
Oh, yeah.
to put everything together.
My
Let's have a cupcake.
You ate all the cupcakes.
Have some more. Make sure it's not alive. I will say, though, when it got towards the climax of this film, there was some choppy editing, especially when it came to the main characters, Paul Rudd and, forgive me for Phoebe's mom.
Callie.
What's
Callie.
Kelly, okay.
Callie.
Callie, sorry. When they're getting possessed, and all this is happening with the portal basically being released, all the ghosts are coming out, and then the pyramid is being relieved, and the form of Gozer is taking shape. There's a lot of messy editing because it almost feels like it's trying to focus on too many things at the same time, and it's a little jumbled. And that leads me to like the one thing I didn't care for is that I was looking forward to Ivo Shandor coming to life and realizing in a split second that is J.K. Simmons as Ivo Shandor. Gone. Dead. Killed off.
I actually like that for no reason at all.
Yeah, I liked it when Gozer is showing up and he's all like, "Oh, I released you," and it's like Gozer didn't care. Gozer didn't give a fuck.
He didn't give a fuck. I was expecting, I don't know, he could have had like some scene chewing opportunity in the climax, but he didn't. He just got killed off within a split second.
It's like the Psycho treatment. You think Janet Leigh's not gonna die because you're following her throughout this time, and you got a character like J.K. Simmons, and it's like, oh, well, maybe they're gonna have two baddies. Nope.
I just felt like they could have. I don't know. I was expecting to see something like that because you had this cool reveal of him in the glass case, his body being preserved. You could do something with that character, and they just didn't.
Well, they did in the game.
Yeah, so.
But if you think about it, he wasn't the focal point.
No, I know he wasn't. But he
Gozer
could have been
was.
he could have been a good side character, like side villain. You know, he could have been. So
He already was a side villain. He built all this shit.
yeah, but he's just mentioned by name. You don't really see him. They talk about him. That's all. So
Nobody cared. I didn't care.
maybe some people out there do care. So
I didn't.
See?
If I were you watching movies, I would be so exhausted.
Fine.
So
I think I look into things pretty deep, but like now I feel very simple.
listen, once you reveal Gozer, anything you're gonna try to like reveal at that same moment, it's just bullshit. Because like now you revealed the big baddie. Now it's like, all right, you've got this thing taking form. You're like, oh hey, I did all this. Nobody gives a shit. I didn't give a shit, clearly. And then ripping him in half was actually really kind of cool. It's like one of the few times they actually killed somebody in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right.
And then you're like, oh, okay, just threw him aside. He was a side villain. He was a side villain from 1 to now. We finally got a face.
I'm not saying don't kill him off. I'm just saying maybe give him a scene or two to give him like some levity or breath of life. And nope.
He did get a breath.
Yeah. He got
And
like
then
2
he
lines.
took
Of
away.
2 seconds, and then he was fucking gone. I'm just like, all right.
That was a breath of life.
My version of Breath of Life was like a scene or two, like actual scene or two with actual lengthy dialogue, and then
That's
find a way to get rid of him.
Yeah.
You should write his backstory.
Maybe I should.
Make a
The,
side.
the whole
yeah.
villain story.
Make a Shandor movie.
There we go. I'll make a Shandor movie.
There you go.
You want to see a Shandor movie, Jeff? I'll make a Shandor movie.
No, I'm not going to watch it. It talks too much.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like Tarantino.
No, Jeff, you just don't like feet.
Exactly. But like,
Who likes feet?
I don't. And I go with my woman to get pedicure.
Oh my gosh.
But that was just my issue, is that like all this stuff is happening at the same time. It just felt like it was just jumbled, choppy editing. It could have been handled more smoothly, and that killing of Ivo Shandor just happened within a split second. I'm like, okay, all right, fine.
Maybe there was more to it, and they said due to time restraints, we want to try to speed it up. Or
Yeah,
they felt
maybe.
like maybe the pacing was going slow.
I'm just saying it could have been
Mhm.
handled better. It just wasn't, in my opinion. But they get to the meat and bones of the climax, and that's basically the showdown in the temple, and then trying to get Gozer to the dirt farm.
Yeah.
And I love that she tells Gozer jokes.
Dude, the fact that she's just chilling out there and then Phoebe just walks out and starts telling dad jokes and
Uh-huh.
Gozer's just like, what?
Aw. Yeah.
I'm surprised he or Gozer, it's not a he or a she.
It's actually Olivia Munn.
Yeah, she's actually still uncredited. they didn't want to tell anybody that she was playing that part.
Okay.
It was even funny that they couldn't even get her to do test makeup because it was just like that quick. So they literally had to use somebody her body type, go, all right, we're going to make this, and then literally the day of, like, threw her in it.
Okay.
And then I think Gozer was actually played by 3 different. So Olivia Munn was the physical, and then there was someone else that played the ghost version, and then someone else did the voice.
Okay.
I have to top of my head, I cannot remember all 3 I just remember Olivia Munn because...
Yeah.
Star power.
Yeah.
Star power. There is no mom, only Zool.
Well, it's like Michael Keaton's Batman. You had Dave Lead and Sean McCabe doing the fighting, and then you had Carl Newman that did all the moving. Michael Keaton's just up here.
I'm surprised Gozer didn't ask Phoebe if she was a god.
Oh, but it was saved for
Are
the
you ready to
best.
I know, it was saving for the very end. I know.
No, but her going, are you ready to die? And Phoebe's like, no, I'm 12. That was even better. Like, the way she delivered it, like,
Yeah.
was it 2 really deadpan jokes?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden goes just like,
Huh?
What is this? Who is this?
Do I know you?
I did like the Terror Dog could take another form again, and actually took the form of Finn's love interest. That was kind of cool towards the very end.
Yeah, it held no bound. Like, for it to possess a kid really makes you go, oh, shit.
Yeah, doesn't give a shit.
yeah. And it was actually really, like, the transition from person to person was quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not expecting it. As soon as it got released, all of a sudden it was just like, oh, you're
Instant.
right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I said, like this movie was made for $75 million, and it looks a lot more expensive than it actually is.
It really does. The production on it was top notch for a low budget like that. But
Yeah.
I can't imagine though that it costs that much because there really wasn't any names to it.
Well, Paul
I mean,
Rudd.
Yeah, I mean you had some significant people in there, but I mean, what, maybe $1 million each for them?
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Not to mention you got to have the
I'm not
legacy characters return too. I'm sure.
Yeah, but they were more like glorified cameos.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean,
Then you have to pay for the music rights
Yeah.
to bring all the other
Yeah.
stuff back.
so that stuff.
Well, they were more than just cameos. They actually had.
Oh,
like,
that's why I said glorified
Yeah.
cameos.
Yeah.
It's like more than enough to. I mean, like that whole scene where the legacy characters came back
Mhm.
was basically a short film.
It was impactful, though.
Exactly.
It does. It
was.
made me cry. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
cried at Ghostbusters.
I cry every time I watch it because
I admit,
Every
I
time.
got choked up to it too, and I
Yeah.
really don't get choked up with a lot of things. And it wasn't when the 3 guys came in. It was that to me was like a fist pumping,
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, here we go.
I like the.
And when you didn't see any production pictures, no leaks, no nothing, and you just heard Ray go, "Yay, flat top," and then the 3 of them are just standing there. It was Ray, Ray, Winston, and Venkman,
Venkman.
and it's like, oh damn,
Yeah.
here we go.
I did love the phone
right
call.
by the Ecto One yet too. I was like, perfect.
The phone call to Dan Aykroyd, though. I
That
really
was a cool
did
scene.
like
From the
that
jail.
scene. Yes, we're closed as soon as he picks the phone. But having that full blown conversation, wondering where the others are at
Yeah,
right now.
he explained the exposition as to like why they all went their separate ways and why there's some animosity with Egon because Egon just took the shit and left.
Yep.
And Ray was like, "What the hell? Now I'm the only one here."
Mhm.
But honestly, I did like the whole back and forth between Gozer and the Ghostbusters. It was actually like, if you took notice to her tone, or its tone, I should say.
Yeah.
It was very sarcastic. Like, she remembered them. And it was kind of funny, like are you a god?
Then
Like,
the look on
Ray,
Ray's
don't ruin this.
Yeah, that look on his face, like, is this a trick question?
Ray,
Oh, come on, Ray.
come on, Ray.
And then that, yes. Like, he has that little pep in his step, like, yeah. And Winston, the badass that he is, yeah, we're all gods.
We're all gods. They don't feel like it because they get thrown around a bit.
honestly, out of the 3, I'm always excited to see Bill Murray because he's the one that always is like against doing more Ghostbusters, but yet
Yeah.
somehow he's like, I'm here.
I heard he was.
That's why I loved him in the female one because he came in like being like the skeptic. I loved his character in it, too.
I did like hearing that Ernie Hudson said that Bill Murray's been actually like excited and enthusiastic to return, which made me happy. I don't know if it's because of how Ramis is passing or if he has accepted that, hey, we're passing the torch. It's like there is some good stories being told now, and the cameo just worked at the end of Afterlife.
I think he also said that he would return if the story was good. So
Which I don't blame him for. Because the other thing is with Ghostbusters, and like any movie really, because I've often thought about this a lot, and it's different for us to think about it now, but a series like Ghostbusters or a comic book film, all that stuff is actually good for a TV series. You know, like if you do hour-long episodes and tell a story within like 10 episodes or something, it probably plays out better. Like look how good Chucky works out, or Hannibal, or remember Bates Motel.
Yeah.
And look at shows
Great
like
show.
Sopranos and True Blood, Dexter. Like they're basically like one big long movie in a series, and you could probably tell so much more and do so much more as a series. Like look at how the cartoon was.
oh yeah,
You know, and you could come up with newer equipment but when you're doing a movie, it's big budget, and you got to focus on star power so that you bring people into the theater, because that's how you make initial money.
Yep.
So it's all about, you know, scene A, B, and C. You know, beginning, middle, end. Tell your story, get your laughs in, so show some action, go home happy.
Yeah, they could do a live action version of Ghostbusters for sure. TV show form.
100%.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's where probably like the sequels would have benefited more, especially because like when you still had the original guys in the early 90s, I think it would have been really cool. But that stuff, I don't think thinking of a live TV show was even a thought.
Tell you, the waterworks definitely happened when the ghost of Egon was guiding the proton pack
Dude.
to defeat
Yeah,
Gozer.
that's where I lost
And
him.
they aged him. He looked older and
And the CGI was fantastic. And I found out that was Ivan Reitman. The body was Ivan Reitman
okay,
in the Spangler. Yeah.
interesting.
There's even a picture of Jason directing his dad. And then
That's really cool.
and they just CGI'd Hal Ramis's face on it.
That's really cool.
And it looked great.
Yeah.
He looked great.
The other Ghostbusters discover him and realize, oh shit,
And you
he's
see
right next to us.
And the four of them together again, and they even say, I'm sorry, and they do goodbyes, and I miss you. It was like, shit. I'm watching that movie going, damn it.
Finally defeat Gozer, because they didn't defeat it
That
in
was
the
the
first
other
movie.
thing. I liked it that they finally put a closure on Gozer.
Yes.
wow,
Wow,
that's pretty damn good.
Closure on Gozer. They just
Close-
destroyed the temple in the first movie. That's all they did. They
You
didn't
should put
really.
that on a shirt.
Closure of
Closure
Gozer.
of Gozer.
Maybe that should be Gozer's album.
Oh
You
my
should do the art cover too, Jen.
Yeah, okay.
Look at how full circle.
Yeah.
Oh, see, we were meant to do this episode.
That's right.
I was like, I'm coming on.
I also like that Egon, he didn't speak as a ghost.
Yes.
I'm glad that he didn't talk. That he did everything with his body language and his facial expressions. Like, I don't have to say anything. I know that you guys are going to be just fine without me, and I know that I miss you too.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
interaction with the grandkids, and then when he makes up with his daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that just completed.
Pan
that
to the
movie.
sky and just simply says, "For Harold."
Yep.
Yeah.
And I always thought that Harold Ramis never really got the credit he really deserved being part of Ghostbusters. I mean, I think he did from the fans, and in like a Hollywood community, they knew he was a talented writer, he was a talented director.
Oh, yeah.
but I don't think like the vast majority of people ever saw like how genius Harold Ramis was. I mean, he was involved with Animal House, Caddyshack,
He wrote and directed
National
Caddyshack.
Lampoon's Vacation, Groundhog Day,
Mhm.
which was like the breaking point with him and Bill Murray.
Yeah.
But he was involved with so much talented stuff, and he was just good at comedy that he basically wrote the jokes in Ghostbusters, and Dan came up with the story.
I think Ivan helped flesh it all out.
Yeah.
So I mean, and like he plays like pretty generic characters in other films, but Egon was like so fleshed out and so original.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you saw that cartoon character with the crazy hair and the glasses, and then you saw him in real life, it was like, and they said that was his idea.
But I also love like Egon's character in the first movie. He's not afraid to have an attitude and like get in somebody's
Yeah.
face, especially when it came to Walter Peck. Like
Your mother.
he went after him. I mean, okay, he's got a temper, so
When he's the guy, what do you have any hobbies? I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
And he did. If you looked at the basement, there was
yeah.
Egon, that reminds me of the time you were going to drill a hole through your head. That would have worked if you hadn't stopped me. Apparently, that's a real thing.
Helps, was it oxygen go to the brain quicker?
Yeah.
Like a lobotomy.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine this Twinkie holding all the psychokinetic energy in New York City. It would be about 30 feet long and weigh over 600 pounds.
That was the
Big
other thing.
Twinkie.
We saw the Twinkies in the glove compartment.
Yep.
And
The
the
crunch bar that they made the bet on.
Uh-huh.
because he had his Ghostbusters uniform still down in the basement, and Phoebe finds it and it's like a crunch bar.
Yep.
Was it the Cheez-Its that he always snacked on?
Yep.
There was a lot of stuff that you wouldn't have noticed right off the bat. So, like, that red thing they're wheeling out in the first movie is actually in the basement, or the lab. So it's like, they just kept, like, throwing like, little things in. So, like, it wasn't the first watch where you're going to notice it. It's, like, more like a second, third, fourth, fifth that you're going to be like, oh, shit, like, oh, that's this, this, and this. And it's like, that's actually really cool. I think they tried to find as many original props, and then the rest they recreated. Yeah. Like, I think the toaster is original. I just saw that death whistle.
The death
Please
whistle.
take it. I don't.
My father collected a lot of weird things. Please take it out of this house. This house already has no value.
Even a little touch of putting the bottles outside. It's a southern thing for catching spirits.
Book stacking.
So it's like they made the movie right in the way of just playing it out and then adding the stuff in. And I think I said last night as I'm watching with Lexi that I'm like, I could see why everyone hated it. But I'm like, I never understood it. It wasn't until like I kind of took myself out of it, like being a fan, and then just kind of just watched the movie as it was. And I'm like, all right, now I saw it. I could see why everyone thought using nostalgia as a crutch when truthfully it wasn't. Like I said, I made the comparison to a triangle. Like Phoebe is your storyline, and then you're adding everything into it.
That's how I viewed it. I mean, I could see why, like you said, people would be on it pretty hard. I feel like, though, the people who were more like not Ghostbuster fans. Like, fans appreciate
They
it.
just don't like things that are changed.
Yeah, and when you have legacy movies, they really kind of push nostalgia a whole lot to begin with because they think that's the marketing. But why not?
This had the perfect amount of nostalgia, but it was good without it.
That's like when I was watching The Flash and you saw things in the Batcave. Like, it actually looked like the old 89 Batcave when the last time we saw Michael Keaton in Batman Returns, it didn't look like the original Batcave. Mm-hmm. And then they had the laughing box that the Joker had. Yeah. And you saw the old suits, or at least the main two that we saw before. So, like, there was enough nostalgia in there to go, okay, you know, this is reminiscent, this is cool. But then it added some new things, like the Batwing was updated. You saw suits that he never used. Yeah. Just other added stuff that gave another layer that we never saw before. And that's what this movie did. It's kind of leading as a jumping off point now where we're going to move on to new characters while they're still going to have probably extended scenes of the legacy characters now in Frozen Empire. And we don't know. I mean, we got to remember that the legacy guys are in their 70s now, so
they're up there in age.
We got to really appreciate what we get from them because
they might even kill them off.
I was thinking
like
that.
they
could
really
go that dark route in the next movie.
I think they have. Like, I don't think they very well can for the sake of vulnerability, but it's almost too predictable. Yeah, you kill the old guys off because they're old anyway, and we're moving on to the.
But I can see the fan base going, "Run for your life! Get out of there!"
And Bill Murray had already stated, like when the whole shabacle of trying to get a Ghostbusters 3 going, he said, "Yeah, I'll do it if you just kill me off in the first reel."
It's like Harrison Ford's mentality with the new Star Wars movies.
I want to die.
I'll come back if you kill me off.
Well, he wanted to die in Empire Strikes Back.
He wanted to die in Return of the Jedi, I think.
Empire.
Was it Empire? I thought it was Return of the Jedi. He wanted to die. Okay.
Maybe it was both. I don't know.
It probably was both.
He doesn't even like talking about the good Star Wars movies.
That's a damn shame. He just seems like a miserable prick.
What would you do? You just said that. What if he was like the podcast's biggest fan? You didn't even know it.
What if he's like the Dan Aykroyd who listens to podcasts? He's like, you really found your flow after episode 46. What if he's secretly listening to all this shit right now?
Now you just broke his heart.
Then tell him to come on here.
Yeah, come on. Yo, Indiana Jones 5 sucked.
How does 4 better than 5? Just putting it out there.
Spielberg directed it?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm just saying, I was 4, but
I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, and we
because
can't. If we're not talking about Christian Slater and Heather, we're not talking about.
That's right. If we deviate from the subject material, we're going to talk about
Stay
Christian Slater.
on mark.
We do that.
For Harold.
Because I've been thinking about Christian Slater this whole time. And the painting that I was thinking of in my head. Those two things.
Oh but honestly, like, as a whole, the movie is, I want to say, one of the best requels that are out there.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was a nice, I guess, breath of fresh air for Ghostbusters. Like, they made the comparison of a SWAT team breaking into a building and the first person getting shot is you getting drowned was Paul Feig, was it Feig for 26?
Feig, yeah.
If you think about it in that concept, he opened the door for more Ghostbusters. It didn't get liked. He got essentially gunned down, and we got this one instead. Yeah. But it also opened the door that more people can use Ghostbusters. And we could get, like, alternate versions of, like, was it Extreme Ghostbusters? We can get, like, a Chicago chapter, an LA chapter, a Tampa chapter. There could be more to Ghostbusters than just New York.
Yeah,
and
100%. Absolutely. There's ghosts everywhere.
Yeah, and then open the door for Oklahoma was a nice thing. Like, New York isn't the only thing that's haunted.
Yeah.
Now you're taking it to like a CSI level. Like,
I would totally watch it.
I would.
Oh my God.
I would totally watch
Ghostbusters,
it.
like,
NCIS Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That's the TV show we're talking about. Ghostbusters CSI.
Yeah.
Oh, CSI, the Ghostbusters division.
There you go.
I mean, all they gotta do is like Ghostbusters Philly or Ghostbusters Pittsburgh or Why am I using Pennsylvania? But you know what I mean.
We have ghosts too.
Gettysburg.
Oh my God.
Well, apparently Pennsylvania is known for having satanic temples all over northern Pennsylvania, so and the Delaware border. So hey, there might be some weird shit going on there.
Yeah.
Northern California, you got Bohemian Grove. There you go.
You got weird shit happening all over the country.
But that was also part of the game where they were saying that you were playing as a fifth Ghostbuster who's being trained, and opened the door, but it didn't actually open the door. It's just like, oh, we can make more games, but
which that was perfect.
Yeah,
because you got to play along with the characters instead, so that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all you guys about this. I think this was a really fun movie. It was worth the wait. I mean, as far as a third movie goes, I wish we would have gotten a third one with all the original guys, but it is what it is. And I thought it had terrific continuity, and I thought the stars just aligned right. They had the right actors as the kids, the adults, bringing the legacy.
It makes me very
back.
excited for.
Me too. I don't think Jason Reitman's directing the
He's
new
not.
one.
I know he's not, but I think he has a hand in it, or at least he's somewhat involved as a producer, I think. I'm not sure.
Probably. But I am excited to... Ernie Hudson was saying Bill Murray was happy to come back. It looks like Annie Potts is suiting up as Janine.
Dude,
and she's
I was
gonna be
excited
busting.
for that.
She's back too.
Like,
yeah.
I thought it was gonna be another cameo of them again, but I think they're gonna be in it more, and they're gonna expand more Ghostbusters because it looks like Paul Rudd and Callie are.
There's like 10 Ghostbusters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was thinking I want to see that stuff a while back.
Increase the family.
I even wrote a Ghostbusters treatment where we had that where it was like an army of ghosts and they went into like a ghost world and they needed like 10 Ghostbusters. I had like this whole, like there were like slime monsters and shit like in a river that were coming out, and I got all into it.
Is it Vigo?
No, it wasn't Vigo.
There is an alternate like story they were working on, but from a ghost perspective, and showing that from like what they see as from Ghostbusters. I thought I would have loved to have seen that, but it was like more of an animated movie.
I like when shows do that.
I think I sent you those two, like a picture of like the original drawing of it, and it was like really just ghosts dressed in Ghostbuster outfits, but they didn't have the proton packs. I forget what the hell they used, but they were saying like going from a ghost perspective, all of a sudden you see a dude just show up like, ha! I was like, how would I react?
Especially from Slimer, who just wants to eat hot dogs. And then they start shooting you with lasers.
So over there enjoying his booze and his hot dogs, all of a sudden.
No, I like when anything shows like the opposite side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, remember the Exorcist show? The season 2 actually showed you from like what the person that's possessed, what they're seeing when that person's possessed. I love that.
Yeah, I always like that stuff too. It's like in Power Rangers, they had like the Evil Rangers or something. Yeah, they did it. They did have that. or Superman. You know, you have Bizarro Superman. It was like
Yeah.
through that different perspective. I always thought that was cool too.
I mean, even Lex's perspective made sense. After you listen to what he said and why he's doing what he's doing, I understood it.
Honestly, the people I've spoken to, no one disliked this movie at all. They thought this is exactly what it needed to be.
Yeah, I don't think you have to be a Ghostbusters fan to enjoy it. I mean, you may not get a lot of stuff with it.
Some things
but
will go over your head. Yeah.
You just appreciate it more knowing the
Yeah, later-
detail that goes into it.
Like, if you're not a Ghostbusters fan, you watch it first, and then you have a fan explain it to you, or you go in the deep dive, and you're like, wow, this is actually really cool, well thought out, nostalgic, tribute-like. It was cool, and I thought it was well made. Like I said before, they had the mix of practical effects with the right amount of CGI. I just thought it was just right.
Yeah.
And they didn't overdo the Ray Parker song either. They saved it for the very end.
I'm like, did
Yeah.
they even play it? I'm like,
Yeah, like the like the
But as you,
that was
you
it.
see a shot of New York City
Okay.
and you hear the siren of
but
the
it
Ecto 1.
makes sense. Like, it's not New York. They shouldn't have used it until it was New York.
Yeah.
Well, the new one is taking place in New York, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hence why it's called Frozen Empire. Here's the question I got for this. Why did you choose this movie, Jen?
Yeah, this was your idea.
It was.
Because I really just enjoy it that much. And it came up because I think I posted how I was having a really bad day, and literally the only good part of my day was when I got the Frozen Empire like trailer, when I was like, oh wow. I'm like, then I remembered how much I loved it. There's a movie, and I didn't think that I would like it that much. Like, I'm not anti sequel or remake, you know that. Like, I like those, but there are a few that like I just really like. I really enjoyed this one. Just like, I don't know your stance on it, so if you're gonna like throw something at me, get ready or whatever. But like with The Shining, obviously, like for the prequel or remake, the one with
Dr.
So
Sleep.
sleep.
Dr. Sleep, I had no desire to watch that. I was like, this kind of like seemed like it would be dumb. I didn't want to watch it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Like, I love everything about it. That's how I feel about this movie.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I thought Dr. Sleep was solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't do too many new movies, honestly. This is only 3 years old, so we typically do movies in the 90s and 80s and
Well,
all
to be
other
fair,
decades.
the new movies now suck.
Yeah. There's a lot that just don't hold up right now.
Yeah,
But
music sucks, wrestling sucks, movies suck, everything sucks.
You're too young to be this much of an old man.
but
I'll call it the way it is.
It's true.
this does. This
Okay,
does. This
I
does.
watch hundreds of horror movies, and I could probably do five that are actually good. And the ones that are everyone's like, oh, these are amazing. They're fucking horrible. I'm just gonna say, Skinamarink literally just almost got best film, horror film, and that was the worst fucking movie I've ever seen in my life.
That's cinematic NyQuil. That movie.
Yeah, there was a time I enjoyed watching awards and Oscars, and now it's just a big fucking click show. Like,
Well,
hey,
now I don't know what half of them are. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know who that person is.
and I don't even care.
I
I mean, like, I
know.
don't need like to watch somebody. Looking back on it, it's actually pretty stupid. Like, it's just an ego booster when really it's your performance that it's gonna live on forever. Nobody gives a fuck about the gold trophy. It's like that meme I showed you guys with Tony Soprano. This is what I think about the Oscars. Who gives a shit? Say it louder for the people.
I'm
in
gonna
the
pull
back.
the girl card, and I only watch it for the dresses.
The
to see
dress.
what people are wearing.
The glamorous outfits.
Yeah.
Honestly, that probably might be the best part.
Even though I don't know who half the people are.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
But
I don't know
here's
who
the
that
last most famous thing that happened at the Oscars: Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Ooh, ah.
Wasn't that like 5 years ago?
That was like 2 years ago.
It just feels like it never, forever ago.
And who gives a
Yeah.
fuck?
Well, we did assault a man on stage, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, because he had an ego and he thought he could get away with it.
I think we're starting something new, boys.
Yeah,
We're
this
starting
is
to-
not. Yeah, don't get me going.
Really
Talk
off,
about
yeah.
Christian Slater and Heather's.
So talking about Christian Slater and Heathers.
I
Which-
promise you we'll do a Heather's episode.
We're already announcing it right now. We will do
Yes,
that
we
next
will.
with Jen Hardy.
Well, next we got a timeline for the episodes, dude.
And you have to watch it.
Yeah.
You have to
Anyway,
watch it.
I'm appalled.
we
that you
got
haven't.
Kill Bill and the Punisher down the pipeline
We
for the
have
anniversary.
Ghostbusters 1.
Yeah, that's what 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
This is the year of anniversaries, John.
Listen, I'm still
Wait,
putting
was
out...
Heather's 84?
Was it?
Hold
I
on.
don't know.
Nightmare on Elm Street was 84. We already did that, though.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm still saying Night of the Comet. Because I think that it's 40 this year, too.
Does it have to be 40? Can it be 30? We can do Ed
Yeah.
Wood.
Hell yeah. Like I said, it's anniversary year, boys.
But,
But-
favorite scenes?
Oh, 88.
88, okay.
It's in the pipeline.
I'm trying to do math right now. But yeah. Anyway, favorite scenes.
Favorite scenes, yeah.
My favorite scene, easily when the legacy characters come in, and when you, especially the proton scene where all 4 of them are together, and then when they say goodbye to Harold.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, it was like fist pumping. It was emotional. It was that one last hurrah, and they could do the best they could with Harold not being around. That was what I really wanted to see the most. All the originals that we could, suited up, ready to go. It had laughs. It had some good action. It changed, like they tried to cross the streams to defeat Gozer. She broke them, and McKenna Grace winds up picking up the proton pack, and it's like the next generation is on the way, and the guys are gonna eventually guide them.
Mm-hmm.
That to me was like my favorite part, hands down. Like if you
I
didn't
agree.
feel sad or energetic from that scene, I don't know what would get you pumping
Yeah.
in
Cry
that
every
movie.
fucking time.
Yeah, so now I have
Yeah.
nothing to say because that was my favorite part.
There you
for
go.
all of those reasons.
You're
but
welcome.
but I do also enjoy the mini Stay Puff. Because it's funny. And that's actually the first commercial I saw that made me want to watch it. So, like, you have mini Stay Puffs and Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
I'm watching this.
Least favorite?
I don't really have a least favorite. I
Least
mean,
favorite,
there's it paces pretty well, but there's nothing that made me go, I could skip this scene. Maybe like the Walmart scene kind of drags on a little bit too much, but even that's not terrible. I mean, I just kind of feel like, oh, like this is where I can go take a piss and leave the movie on.
Jen,
Yeah,
maybe?
I don't have a least favorite. I thought it was done so well. Yeah,
Awesome.
I don't have. There's nothing I would have changed. I'm not as picky as John or you, but
I
wouldn't
just
have-
hate too much.
You are full of hate.
You guys are. I'm like so much older than you. You guys are
this
old
man's
men.
full of hate.
Man.
But yeah, I'll agree with you guys. The ending is the send off to Egon's character definitely is my favorite scene. A close second was the Muncher chase sequence because that was the kids coming together and basically the early infant stages of forming their own ragtag Ghostbusters team because everybody's got their job, they got their mission, and the way it's filmed and the chase sequence through the town, the blowing up the marquee and blowing up certain areas of the town, chasing the damn thing out to the bridge and trapping it. The excitement that they get when they trap their first ghost.
Yeah.
Even though there are repercussions and they get in trouble with the police and everything, but it's all a great build-up. Everybody has their job, everybody has their mission that they want to accomplish, and it was so much fun because those kids are having fun, and
Right.
we as audience members watching this want to experience the same fun as they are. But nothing tops the tear-jerking at the very end with sending off Egon's character.
And the way they broke him in, where McKenna Grace is struggling with the proton pack,
Yeah.
fighting Gozer, and then you just see the hand coming in.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It was
see,
like-
I got goosebumps when he's saying it.
Right? It's like, oh my god!
And it was like more subtle. It wasn't like, oh, here you go. It was like you
Mhm.
watch the hand just guiding, and then all of a sudden it like starts panning away, and then you see that it's Harold Ramis Egon, and it's such a tender moment because, like you said, it's powerful. It's everything that you want from a Ghostbusters film in one scene, and
Yep, but then you end it and you're like, wow, Ghostbusters made me cry.
Yeah.
that's what I said every single time, and it pisses me off. It pisses me off because I'm like, why am I crying?
Well, you're also seeing our heroes get emotional too, and that, like,
Yeah.
like I can.
He was one of their own.
Yeah.
Well,
So.
I mean, like as a fan, you love the character and you love the memories that we had. I mean, it's obviously like we played Ghostbusters as kids,
Well good. Yeah.
and we all had our favorites. Like Venkman was probably a majority of everybody's favorite. Like I said, I kind of like the other 3 guys more. I mean, I could just watch that ending, like as soon as they get to the dirt farm, and that just like last sequence right there, just as a short film, that's all I need, and it's just everything's just in it. I don't know what else to say about it. Is like that last part was just so well done. Even the music like really got you into the suspense of it, and seeing a kid also taking on Gozer when the three guys were down was like, go Phoebe. That's what you want to see. You want to see somebody like with the guts to actually do it and take on an entity that
a child.
Yeah.
Empowerment and just, hey, we kids can make differences. Yes.
It was awesome. And the thing about that totally would have been us as kids. Like we would have like wanted to bust ghosts with the Ghostbusters if they were real.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I probably would have hid.
Not me. Unless they would have said, we got to go to Springwood, Ohio. It would have been like, nope.
No, I would have hid. That's why I'm a final girl, people. Because I'm smart. And I would hide.
As much as I love the entire movie, that scene at the end really does make an impact. The two scenes that actually like stand out to me are actually Phoebe's jokes. I kid you not, like her interacting with Paul Rudd and like explaining everything with the seismology, and then her telling the joke, and he's like, "Is that a joke?" He goes, "Well, that's why I winked." And
very deadpan. Too.
Yeah.
That's why I winked. You didn't get that?
And then the whole thing with her standing up to Gozer and just telling the dumb jokes, that stood out to me more than the most impactful scene that you guys love, because I'm like, this little girl, this 12-year-old, is standing up to a god and really just being herself.
Yeah, just like, It's like Tom Cody versus Raven Shaddix after he blew up the building.
Okay.
In Streets of Fire.
Oh my god. But yeah, I know. I've already hinted that as my least favorite scene is definitely the building up to the return of Gozer. I just thought I'm allowed to have a least favorite scene. I just thought that the build up to that was choppy editing and it could have been paced better. And the fucking killing off of Ivo Shandor, which I thought could have led to be something cool. So, am I gonna have crosshairs on my forehead for saying I didn't like something? So,
yes,
yeah, I'm gonna have crosshairs on my forehead, a laser pointer at me. So, but yeah, I just thought that could have been handled better, and it just felt like it was rushing, and it was choppy, and it was convoluted. It could have been paced better. It just wasn't. So,
No, I got you.
Yeah,
I respect that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have legit reasons for it. It was like he just came in and went.
Yeah, maybe there was some. They wanted to film more. Maybe they had to cut down on the runtime, or maybe it was something that they just didn't have the time to film, or like we wanted to do more, but we couldn't.
Or
so
like
we had to edit it this way.
Or like Jeff said, and he came in, told us story that he did the mining, he had the skyrise, and this was where he was just hiding out until he woke up.
You've got Ghost's return, you've got the town falling apart, you got all this stuff happening within like a couple seconds, and it was just so jumbled. So, yeah.
It's the end of the world.
It's the end of Oklahoma.
It's the end
But
of
no,
the
end
world.
of the world, yes.
It's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Now you just offended all of Oklahoma. You're losing your fan base here.
Yeah.
We have a fan base in Oklahoma?
You're
Probably.
losing Oklahoma. You're losing like your famous
Harrison
people.
Ford. Yeah, I did find that number for Bill Murray. I'm still thinking about calling it. The 1-800 number?
Oh. We're ready to believe.
Yeah, I know. How would we react to that? This is this fucking weirdo.
I call him up, be like, "Yo, is this Bill Murray? You want to come to Pennsylvania and do a podcast?"
We'll
I
just
think you
say,
should do
no,
that now. Call him now.
No one would believe you.
I can see that. Just shows up like, hey, I'm here.
I could tell him, man, like, I got a wedding next year.
He's done things like that where I've heard
crashed,
I've heard stories of him like going up to people's like food at their dinner plate, just eating a bite of their food, and looks at them and just says, "No one would ever believe you," and they know it's him. He takes off.
Is that who I think it is?
Did he just eat my burger?
Oh damn.
That's Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yep. You guys have anything else to add to it? I know it was a movie that got pushed back because of COVID, so that's why it was a little late to the game. But it's one thing that kind of worries me about Frozen Empire. It seems like they're rushing it a bit, but
It just got pushed back too. So
Well,
it got it moved up.
It got
didn't
moved up because maybe it's a confidence thing. Maybe they think they've really got something. That usually happens when the movie moves up.
Yeah.
When it moves back, you've got
That's when you
problems.
gotta worry.
I didn't realize it was coming out so soon.
Well,
Like
originally,
when I posted that about the trailer, isn't that when it first came out, or did I just see it that day?
I know originally October, but it was actually supposed to originally come out last December.
Okay.
Oh, that I didn't know.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be last December because they were trying to at least keep with their timeline, and then the SAG strike pushed it back.
Well, that
The
that,
writer
that they
strike,
can't
the
help,
SAG
right?
Yeah.
strike. Yeah.
That affected.
So it was only
Beetlejuice
pushed it
as
back like
well.
4 months, so that's why it got a
It
March
affected an
release.
entire year of films. So yeah.
Yeah, that-
I will say that we tend to be a podcast of coincidences, and on this specific
true.
date, I remember like my Facebook feed came up, and I had messaged along with millions of other people on February 24th, 10 years ago, we are missing and remembering the legacy of Harold Ramis. 10 years to the day, he left us. And it's kind of just shocking that we're talking about this movie 10 years ago
Yeah,
from his passing.
it's just like how we did The Crow, and then we find out, hey, it's coming out on 4K. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like we had, like how many episodes have we had these weird coincidences after we talk about them or bring them up?
Too
Wait.
many.
Which, by the way, Jeff, what's your favorite scene of The Crow?
I will do that after.
Your laptop died.
We'll finish this
We
one. and
thought
then
he
we'll do
was
this.
intently listening.
Dude, you look like a psycho, too, in that Frozen picture. We'll show you later, John. It's great.
I guess on that note.
Yeah. Shall we sign off?
Absolutely.
All right. So we recommend Ghostbusters Afterlife enough. I would say this is something to add to your collection. We also, it's kind of a side note, but we recommend people buying physical media. I know like it's a pain because it's collection, it takes up space, it can be costly, but it's important for the films. It actually provides more to the filmmakers and the crew and royalties, and it also feeds into the industry to keep movies alive. And you never know what's going to happen with streaming. Like they can charge you extra for deleted scenes, you know, for all we know, and it's going to be monopolized. So
Or if something goes down, you lose it. forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd say even on that note, like, think about all the ones they've been putting out. They've actually done more with, so that they're actually more of a collector's item. I'd say most of them. Take for instance this movie. It came with a ghost trap with all the movies in it, so that was actually a nice touch. So they did something to make it worth getting. I have a tendency of just buying the steelbooks because they're fucking cool looking.
There is a company of people out there that had blood, sweat, and tears to make those damn DVD cases and DVDs and all that effort because they got bills to pay and mouths to feed, and that ain't happening with streaming.
No, I mean streaming's definitely convenient, and you know you can take it on the go, or if there's movies that you want to see that you don't want to buy, that's totally legit. I mean, my philosophy is collect your favorites at least, you know, or movies that you really love, and I think Afterlife and along with 1 and 2 are definitely collectible items.
What are you gonna do when the internet's down? You're shit out of luck. Oh, I have a physical copy. Now I can watch it.
Plus, you also get the better video quality too from a physical media, because I mean I'm getting techie here, but the way the laser and the instant into the TV provides a better picture. Also the sound quality is better too. I mean, do your own research more in it, but there's a lot of pros to owning physical media instead.
I think I own 2 copies or 3 copies of the first 2
Why?
because I can.
There's your answer.
I got
Because
the
you can.
35th anniversary 1 and 2, and then I got the box set with Afterlife, and then I just got it on VHS. So suck on all that.
Hey, why don't you give me a copy?
Fuck you. You don't need one now.
No, I already have.
I actually have several copies of Scream because they came out, I bought them, and then you have people that gifted me like the gift box. So.
Yeah.
I shouldn't talk. I have like how many copies of Batman? I still have the old VHS from '89.
When you go to cons, you got to have these people sign the casing too. So there you go.
Actually, that's the odd thing is, like, a couple of mine are signed because of that. Because I'm like, well, what's the point? If they're going to sit there, might as well have something on them.
Yeah.
Increases value too.
I mean, come
But
on.
you know, I'm pro that, but I'm also pro buy the artwork from artists that you can also get signed.
That's actually the best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when they're original and by hand.
Yeah.
Jen Harding art.
I was like,
Instagram.
Jen, we're opening the door.
By the way, my niece loved your painting of
Good, I'm
Ghostface.
glad.
Yeah, so
I have not been creating lately, so I have to get back into that zone.
also
So.
Jen Harding has done the artwork for one of our favorite bands, Gozer, which is appropriate for Ghostbusters.
See, it all ties in.
Exactly.
Honestly, dude.
Closure for Gozer.
fantastic.
Yeah.
They are really good.
Yeah, Nick and the guys are really cool. I've seen them live too.
And as a client, they were very easy to deal with.
Yeah.
They were pleasant to deal with.
You're welcome.
Seriously, I still want to do Night at the Movies with them.
We can. I'll reach out to them, yeah.
Let's do that.
And we will have to collab on something because I have a really cool idea and it figures in your woodworking. So
There you go, John.
Nice.
Yes.
Love woodworking.
I know I'm very excited on my idea book to write it down. So
I actually
on your
want to make my own ghost trap.
no,
now
I
out of
don't
wood.
do notes on my phone. I literally draw it
Ooh,
out.
you gave me the evil eye for
I
that.
do. I'm very, everybody like looks at my notebook like weird, but I'm like, I don't care. Like I carry it around with me. I once went to this like thing of artists like that you were supposed to go. This lady had a basement and I went with another artist. They're like, oh, you just come and work on what you're doing, whatever. And I went there and everybody there was like they looked like they were like art teachers in the 70s, you know, with like their long scarves, and they're talking about just painting as you go and the aura. And I come out my project, I have sticky notes, I have little like notes where I write out every detail. Like those details that I write out, they end up changing completely because I redo it like a billion times. But like I have notes. So when you see like a piece of art that I do, I don't just like sketch and let it go where it's going. Like I have a plan. It may derail from the plan, but
Hey, one thing's for sure
Yeah.
that I learned, especially in film school, is a project's never really completed. It's just
Nope.
abandoned. Like I was looking back at some of my old art projects too, and I was like, man, there's like a lot of like white or black, or I need to add something different. And I'm like, I totally could. You know, make it like a 3D or change something. And
I will
just like,
pick everything apart. Like that right there, why don't you cut out that white part of that picture of
Which
the
one?
helmet right there? Visually, it does not belong to be, it shouldn't be white there. I want to take an X-Acto knife and I want to go through all these little
I do this.
stickers.
I do
Oh,
this
I'm like-
with my woodworking. I do
Like,
that
what are you
too.
looking at? I'm sorry, there's like 30 things on one wall, and you're like, this white's bad. I'm like, I can see a lot of white. What are you talking about?
This
brain's
table that we
tiring,
have our
isn't it?
podcast thing on, I want to fix the damn table
yeah,
because
you
there's
were
a
complaining
split
about
in
that
it.
earlier.
So yeah, I'm the same way. I can
Yeah.
relate.
Being creative is exhausting.
It is.
I think I got, what, like 8 just chilling out right now?
Coming up with scripts is exhausting too.
Yeah, that too.
It's it's like when people say, "Oh, isn't making a movie easy?" No, if you do it right. I mean, if you
fucking
make
hard.
Samurai Cop, yeah, it's
Waterworld.
Yeah.
The world's worst movie in the whole entire world. World's most hated movie, Waterworld.
Is it really? I feel like I'm forgetting off.
I-
Yeah,
we are.
I
yeah.
thought we were gonna sign off. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
assumed this was just after.
No, we never signed off.
This is not a hated movie.
All right. So buy physical media, listen to Gozer, buy Jen Harding's art, look at John's Beyond the Palette Shop, and Jeff and I are just here. So we're on Instagram if you want.
I'm just enjoying life. How about that?
Yeah.
And
I-
talking shit.
I do that
Life
every
and
day.
hating.
That's why I grew a mustache.
Oh, God.
But watch Ghostbusters Afterlife. Check it
Yeah,
out.
we really recommend this movie a lot. I mean, I don't think it's a perfect movie. I mean, what really is, but it's just a fun
It's
movie.
close to it.
It's nostalgia. It's great. I don't think anybody really will be disappointed. If you bitch about the nostalgia, just stop.
Shut up because you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll appreciate it later, and you go, I was wrong.
Enjoy the ride.
Those people probably like Waterworld.
Yeah, probably do. So, with that being said, we shall sign off. This is Colin Peters.
John Rochetter.
Jeff Manfred.
And Jen M. Harding art. Copyrighted. It's just me.
Thank you all once again for listening. Stay safe. Stay crazy.
Please, somebody help me.